finding these altcoins that have just parabolic growth, would receive 10x's, 20x's, 50x's, isn't necessarily a hard thing to find. I mean, technically, yes, you have to find the diamond in the rough. That's why they're called gems. However, I'm going to outline an entire tutorial exactly what I look for that can help you on your journey. Now, if you're also wondering why listen to me, that's a really good question. So I've been pretty much gem hunting for a decent amount of time now. And so when it comes down to it, I've developed my own little formula. And if we just take a look at something like swap, let's just take a look at swap, trust swap. I got in around 85 cents, $1 or so back in February, I think it was. So let's see. So we're looking at February. So around $1, like I said. Then we have FXF, Finex Flow. There we go. I totally forgot when I got in. I think maybe February as well. I don't necessarily recall, but this has done some incredible growth for me as well. I think I did get in at around the 40-cent area in February, and now we're looking at around $1, $1.15. So essentially these have pretty much done 3x's already, and as I'm holding even longer, I'm going to see even bigger gains now. So just one more, just to kind of give you, I already cashed out of DSLA, but I got into DSLA very, very early. Let's see, around February, I think it was around right here. And this went insane. This went parabolic, as you can see right over here. I made very good amount of money with DSLA. Now, here's the thing is that all of these follow the same type of strategical pattern that I look for. And in this video, I'm going to outline and give you a little checklist of what I go through. Now, does every single project and every single token or coin that I find that fits this checklist, is it a home run? No, it's not. I actually end up losing more than I win. However, my winners offset my losers by a lot. Now, here's the thing is that you have to understand if you don't use the same amount of capital in each trade, and you have, let's just say you allocate $500 to a winner that goes ahead in 5x's. So now you have $2,500, but you put in $1,500 into a loser, something that doesn't perform, and now you have, 500. So you lost 1,000, right? So essentially you want to try to put in the same amount of money across all these projects as you can when you're investing, so it averages out. And again, your winners will be a lot greater than your losers, and your losers, you never lose until you sell. You've always heard that before. But regardless, I'm going to walk you through this checklist on what you need to do and what I like to look for. So first thing is first, I'm going to use one of my favorite projects right now that I'm going extremely heavily on is Blank. So we're going to use Blank as the example here. Now, as you can see, Blank has just been on a downward trajectory since it hit its all-time high. Now, it's been on a downward trajectory because of the fact that if you bought back over here, where not even over here before it was listed, the pre-sale was 5 cents and then the public sale was 6 cents. So if I got in at 5 cents and then I see that it hits, $5 for something, 4.88, you best believe that I'm selling for a 100x gain. So how do you spot these exactly? Well, I got in roughly on the $2 area, and I dollar cost average all the way down. I'm still dollar cost averaging now, and I'm roughly just shy of $30,000 into this entire trade, and I am going to hold this long term. I know exactly where this project will be going. I can just see by talking to the team and everything else. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through the entire checklist, this little mini checklist that I've created that I typically go through as well. Now, again, you can develop your own, but there's a lot of little nuances that you have to keep in mind. So let's start off with use case. Does it solve a problem? Now, this is pretty important, is that if you find a project that doesn't necessarily solve a problem, that's not something that I would necessarily kind of want to be involved with. And one of my biggest mistakes not following this was actually in chain games. Now, does chain games solve a problem? I mean, not really. So let's just do chain. it doesn't solve a problem. All it does is it allows micro betting transactions to happen via APIs with games. And we can see that it's reflected on this. Now, does Chain Games have potential to go ahead and carve out its own sector of a market like betting? Because betting is huge. Sports betting is massive. So Chain Games has its place. However, it doesn't solve such a big problem for me to put in a lot of money. Now, when I did get into Chain Games, I veered away from following this checklist. And if I went ahead and just followed my gut and listened to the checklist, I would have kept very far away. And I actually lost a lot of money on Chain Games. And I still hold Chain Games because I never know what's going to happen. But again, I lost a lot of money. And it doesn't solve a massive problem in my opinion. So that's one of the reasons why. And again, it corrected really far. And it's a good project, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't necessarily have a massive problem that it solves. And the use case, okay, the use case is going ahead and creating essentially a gambling platform for video games, essentially. So I get the use case, what they're trying to do. Does it solve a massive problem? No. There's probably a lot more regulations than we know. So if I went ahead and just followed this and thought about it logically, I probably would have steered away from it. And then reflecting on that trade now, well, not like right now, but reflecting on that trade maybe a week after or so, I realized, where logically that would probably end up. So let's take a look at something like Blank, right? Because I keep talking about Blank. Does it have does it solve a problem? And is there a good, does it have a good use case? Well, the problem that Blank solves, just for an example, is it goes ahead and makes your wallet private. So right now, anybody can see into your wallet. If I gave you my address and you typed it into Etherscan, you'll be able to see what's in my wallet, what coins, how much money is in there. But if we transact, if I were to send you a transaction, what Blank essentially does is through a smart contract, it goes ahead and basically mixes up a bunch of transactions, puts it all in one, and then sends it to you. So you would never be able to link back my wallet. So it's very hard for you to find my wallet and figure out where the transaction came from. So that's great. It's for privacy. So that's phenomenal. It has a great use case. Now, adoption. Is it hard to adopt for the masses, or is it meant to solve a specific problem for the masses? So adoption, the reason why I know that adoption here might be a little harder is because, or not even harder, but it might be hard, it might be not, it might not be. So adoption, we see the growth of SafeMoon and other, meme coins, right? And they're using MetaMask, and a lot of people are learning how to use MetaMask. But we also have Trust Wallet now, and Trust Wallet has seen some exponential growth. But how about this? This is something that you also need to take into account. Is what I realize is Trust Wallet doesn't have their own coin, MetaMask doesn't have their own coin. So how about a wallet that has their own coin that also has an incredible feature of privacy? That's what Blank is. So that fits into my criteria. Will people adopt this? Yeah, absolutely. For privacy reasons, people will adopt this. Now let's talk about team. Are they anonymous or are they a public team? Now this is such an important factor you need to go ahead and consider. When you're looking at project, if the team is anonymous, that's a red flag. Now, given, there's a lot of different platforms and a lot of different projects that are anonymous that do exceptionally well. However, I do like the projects that go ahead and have their founders and their developers and their graphics and their marketing all public. And it just adds that extra layer of security, because if you're public to a project and you have hundreds of thousands of people and millions of dollars being invested, you're more than likely not going to steal that money and rug, right? So essentially just having a team there, seeing their credentials and taking a look at what they've been able to accomplish is really important. So we could take a look at the Blank team. We can go to their LinkedIn and just take a look at what they've been able to accomplish, see what they've been connected to, see what they've done in the past, all of this. So being able to see a public team is really, really good, and something that I would highly recommend if you're going and researching projects that you really put emphasis on, like really put emphasis on that. And the other thing is active social media to see what the project is openly doing. So if there's a Telegram, if there's a Medium, if there's a Twitter, whatever it is, do they have some sort of social presence to keep you updated consistently on what they're doing and what's going on? Next, what you want to do is once you find their social media, more than anything on Telegram, you want to see if you can get into the chat and ask around, hey, are the developers in here? Is the admin in here? Is the founder in there? If it's a good project, the founder is going to go and message inside the group saying, hey, I'm here, or you can message him privately once you have the Telegram, his Telegram, and just start picking his brain, asking him questions. What you really want to get down to the core of, if he's legit, and essentially if he's genuine. So if he's actually trying to solve a problem and he doesn't necessarily care about the money. Now, one thing I love about Blank is that the owner, the founder, inside of the chat, and again, people are going nuts when they see this, right? People are like, oh my goodness, I lost like 80%, I lost 60% of my portfolio. He's not in there trying to calm people down about the price. He's in there answering questions about what the project does, what they're aiming for, what their goal is, because he's not money oriented. He's more project oriented and growth oriented. And that's what I want to see in a leader of a project. This is so important. A lot of people look at crypto as just like this big money hub. You have to understand that you're investing into projects that have the potential to be massive. So you want to get in on the ground floor. And can you dissect and comprehend the white papers? This is important. A lot of people, they'll go ahead and look at a project and they'll click on the white paper and they'll read the whole thing and they'll be like, oh my goodness, this sounds great, but I don't know what any of this means. And that's okay. As a matter of fact, a lot of the white papers that I go through, there's a lot of terminology, a lot of like tech stuff that I don't know, a lot of diagrams that I really personally don't know how to decipher. But what I do is I ask friends, I ask my network, and I start asking around. I'll go to the Telegram groups and say, hey, what does this mean? And ask as many questions and get as informed as you can on what the project is trying to accomplish. So if there's some sort of project that solves, a layer 2 solution or provides a layer 2 solution for a certain, for a certain chain, and you don't know what that means, you don't know what it solves, go into the group and ask, okay, what does this mean? What does this solve? Be active. The more you know, the more you're informed, the better decision you can make for your investment and your money. So this is huge, is that one thing is, what I like to do is I like to go on YouTube, see other YouTubers talk about the project, what their takes are, all of that. And I will look at many different videos, because if you just look at one, then you become very biased as to their view. But if you look at, different reviews, different feedback, then you kind of get a better scope and understanding of what the general consensus is, rather than just having a biased review. So if you don't know what the white paper says, ask questions. Literally ask questions. If you don't know what this means, ask the Telegram group. If somebody says, this is annoying, whatever it is, who cares? Who cares? This is why you're going to make more money than them with your investment, is because you're actually doing the correct due diligence and you want to know what's going on. And also, this is great for long-term knowledge, is the more you know right now, it carries over into other projects. So if there's another, let's just say you invest in a layer 2 solution for Ethereum, right? And it hits like 50x. Well, if there's another layer 2 solution for a different blockchain, and you know what layer 2 solutions do because you've invested the first time and did your due diligence the first time around, you know what they're trying to accomplish, and you can see ahead of time if they're doing it right. And if they're not, and they don't have the same vision, then guess what? You don't invest, because you already carried over that knowledge instead of just taking a guess. It's like throwing a dart, right, and hoping that you land on the bullseye if you don't do your own due diligence. That's why people always say DYOR, do your own research, because you have to do your own research. You have to understand what's going on. If not, you're investing blindly. And at that point, I'll send you my crypto address. You can donate to my fund. So the other thing I look for is, are there competitors? How do they size up and compare? Now, here's the thing, is that competitors are good. A lot of people think that competition is bad. Owning 100% market share is physically impossible, right? So let's just take bigger companies into aspect. Apple isn't the only computer company. You have Microsoft, you have, you have Dell, you have ASIC, or I don't even know. But regardless, you have so many different computer companies, right, that create computers. Apple doesn't own 100% of the market share. Now let's take it into crypto. Let's talk about DEXs, decentralized exchanges. You have Uniswap, you have 1inch, you have PancakeSwap. Even though Uniswap and PancakeSwap are on two different networks, it's still, you have a bunch of decentralized exchanges is what I'm trying to say. Yes, Uniswap might own a vast majority of the market share, but doesn't mean that 1inch is completely written off. Just because PancakeSwap owns the Binance Smart Chain side of the exchange doesn't mean that we write off 1inch and other decentralized exchanges. And there always is other projects that can outperform them. And if we take a look at something like Theta, we have Theta and AIOZ. So AIOZ, yes, it's at a really good price right now, in my opinion. So here's the thing, AIOZ is basically Theta's competitor. Now, what happens if AIOZ goes ahead and takes market share, which it will take market share from Theta? So the price is only going to go up because Theta is the only game in town, was the only game in town. Now we have AIOZ network, right? So again, it's all about understanding the market share as well. If there's competitors. Now, here's the thing. And I'm going to keep referring back to this because this is what I'm using as the example. And if you hate me talking about Blank so often, that's okay. I'm a big Blank fanboy. So Blank has MetaMask as their competitor. They also have Trust Wallet as their competitor, right? But they don't have their own tokens. MetaMask goes ahead and gets anywhere from $200,000 a day in fees. Trust Wallet, I don't know how Trust Wallet really makes their money. But essentially, Blank, it's an open market for them when it comes down to the token and the token economics, which we'll talk about in just a second. So now let's talk about token structure and understanding the token structure. So back to Blank, you should always be able to find somewhere to find and see the token metrics or the tokenomics. So right over here, I can see the token metrics, and I'm able to go through all of this. I want to take a look at exactly a few different factors. We're talking like burn rates, we're talking allocation to public sales, to private sales, what the cost to enter those were, what the max supply is, how much of allocation was given to the private sales, to the public sales, how much is on the exchanges upon launch. There's a bunch of different things, where the marketing, where the advisory allocations are, what the lockup time periods are. If you don't understand what I'm talking about right now, I really want you to dive into tokenomics and maybe find another video out there talking about tokenomics and how it all works. But let me just kind of run down Blank's tokenomics right over here. 125 million supply, token named Blank. And right over here, let's just go to private round, 35 million tokens, and the price here was 5 cents. That's 28% of the total supply. They raised this much money. All right, so, and again, there's vesting. So I'm not going to get too deep into vesting right over here, but let's just go in and dive into this real quick. Let's just say team, okay? For the team, this is important, why I picked team. You want to make sure that the team doesn't hold like 50% of the tokens. That's scary. That's really scary. If they own like 20% and then out of the 20, 50% gets allocated to marketing, 10% gets allocated to, development, whatever it is, that's okay. But if it's like 50%, 40%, I just walk away. I don't even acknowledge the project, because that many tokens locked by the team doesn't make sense, because they can dump at any time, and that's like terrible. So let's just take a look at team. There's 15 million tokens for the team, 12% of the supply. Now here's the thing, they're locked for a year, and then 10% for the first month of every quarter, and then 7.5% each other month. So that's how the tokens get released to them. So 10% for the first month of every quarter, and then 7.5% each month after. Advisors, 1 year lock on 5 million. Development, 1 year lock on 15.6 million, 10% for the first month of every quarter, and 7.5. So we can tell the token distribution, but they also go ahead and give you this graph, this chart that shows you the distribution of the tokens as well. So you can see the private sale is very dominant, is extremely dominant. And that's another reason why the chart right over here if we just go, this is blank, right? Let me make sure this is blank. Yeah, this is why we have this really hard dip, is because the individuals who purchase in the private sale and the public sale, like I said before, you bet that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sell at 100x profit. Like, there's not even a question about it. You would do the same thing. I'm going to do it. It's 100x on your money. Like, how do you lose? Of course you're going to sell, and of course when you sell and you have a big allocation of tokens, of course it's going to drive the price down. But people are getting scared about it, which is fine. But you need to understand what's happening in the background as an investor, and you need to understand why this chart is like this. So, and you don't want to ever FOMO into all-time highs. Like, that's the last thing you want to do. So you need to understand the token economics to really go ahead and get a firm grasp of what's going to be happening with the token releases, the burns, all of that. So get a firm grasp of the token economics, and then start asking yourself a few different things. Are you buying at all-time highs? Well, I just talked about this. I bought roughly at around $3 or so. And that was during the Sheldon Evans pump. Now, here's the thing. I decided to get in, even though I knew at the time it was a new all-time high. I decided to get in then. Why? Because I wanted skin in the game. All right, just in case it did go to 15 in a few days, just in case it did go to 20, I wanted skin in the game. But I didn't put all my skin into the game. I went ahead and I started dollar cost averaging. So I got in at 3, and then I waited. And then I saw, again, 3s, and then I kept investing. Then I waited for 2s. And now I'm waiting for 1s. And I'm going to keep on dollar cost averaging. My average entry price was, I think, like $3.35 at first. Now it's $1.80 something because I averaged down. And I'm looking forward to my average entry being close to $1.25, $1.40, and then I'll be very content. Now, again, like I said, I own a lot of blank because I know where this project is going. I've talked to the team. I've done everything that I'm explaining on this checklist. Now, the other thing you need to ask is, do you personally understand the project and what they're trying to accomplish? If you don't understand the project and what they're trying to do, it's probably not the best idea for you to invest. Why? Because then you're just blindly hoping that they know what they're doing. If you have a firm grasp of what's going on and what they're trying to accomplish, then you can see if the roadmap that they laid out, the white paper that they have, is lined up with exactly with what you know. So, and what you can foresee. So, here's the thing, you either have to have a really strong gut feeling if you're going on just sheer luck, or you have to personally understand the project from A to Z. Now, one of the biggest, what I believe, one of the next biggest waves in DeFi is going to be D-data, so decentralized data. And we are very early for something like Kylan, so KYL. So I got in at $1. It's at 60 something cents now, and I have to DCA my way in, so dollar cost average my way in. Now this is going to be massive. Kylan is going to be just huge. Kylan is ahead of its time right now. It's decentralized data. So we've seen, DeFi with finance. We've seen NFTs. Now we're going to be slowly start seeing D data, and that's going to be huge as well. So if you know how to spot those trends, you're able to spot those projects that have the unfair advantage of kind of being first, and Kylan is one of those projects that is first to the races. So do I personally understand D data fully like other developers do? No. Am I still learning about it today? Absolutely. Have I invested in Kylan? Yes. Why? Because I understand the market and where it's going. All right, I understand that D data is next, or it's going to be one of the biggest booming sectors inside of DeFi, right? So the other thing you have to consider is, are you okay with waiting? Things take time, all right? So especially if you buy at all-time highs, are you prepared to hold long-term? Are you okay with that? You need to literally sit down and ask yourself, okay, if I buy right now, am I willing to wait 2, 3, 4 years to see incredible returns? You need to ask yourself that and really ponder on that question. So this is everything that I look through. Obviously, I have a really detailed list, and I might put it in the description down below. I'm going to have a designer create something really nice. It'll be in the description down below once it's all done. Probably not on the release of this video, but it will be there if you're watching this months or years later. You can download it for free. But I digress. This is exactly how I do my research to find hidden gems. If you like videos like this, please smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe with notifications. And again, follow me on Twitter for more updates and plays that I'm getting into. So again, I'm Dan from the Hidden Gem Network, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.